Hey there, here's Jan from Jovo, and today I want to show you one of our newest features, the language model testing mode. When people are designing and building Alexa skills and Google Actions, usually there's a lot of time spent on actually designing and building the language models. So for Alexa, it's the interaction models. For Google Actions, it's usually Dialogflow agents. And so the problem is that there's a lot of testing involved. So when you add a new intent, for example, you still want to make sure that all the other intents still work, or if there's no overlap between different intents. And so this is why people spend a lot of time talking to their actual devices. And we believe that you can get rid of that with like any automation tools, that you still need to do some manual testing before launching and in between like adding new intents. But definitely there's some ways to improve that, and we added the language model testing mode for this. So previously people went through their flow like all over again all the time, which cost a lot of time, or they used a different endpoint that just returned what was heard. And we improved that with the language model testing mode, and I want to show you how this works. So let me show you the code. So I quickly set up an Alexa skill on Google Action with the invocation name, my language model test, and I just created an intent called search intent. So the search intent it has three inputs. It has a to city, a from city, and a date. So for example, I could say something like, I want to go to New York on Thursday. And for this, there's a lot of stuff involved. So we have an Amazon US city slot. For Alexa, we have a Dialogflow system entity called GeoCity US. And then also we have a date, which is an Amazon built-in slot called Amazon date and sysdate as a system entity for Dialogflow. And so I already went ahead and created those. So for example, in the Alexa skill developer console, the intent looks like this. On Dialogflow, the search intent looks like that. And let me show you how that works. So usually I would just go through the flow like all the time, open the app again, see if it worked. Like I want to go to New York on Thursday, for example. And I would go through the logs and see if everything is returned correctly and so on. With the language model testing mode, I can just go to the terminal and type in Jovo run model test. So this enables language testing mode. So this creates a new handler in the back end so that you can just keep talking to your device. So let me try it out on Alexa, for example. Alexa, open language model test.
Start.
I want to go to New York.
Search intent.
I want to go to Chicago from New York on Thursday.
Search intent.
I want to go to Chicago next week.
Search intent.
Stop. So as you can see here, this is a very simple view that shows you which intent is recognized and then which inputs. So for example, in the first phrase, it understood New York correctly. Here also, it understood correctly. It understood Thursday correctly. It understood Chicago and New York correctly. But what's interesting here is two cities. So the Amazon built-in intent for US cities actually recognized Chicago next week. So there's something wrong here. And if we take a look at the language model, I want to go from New York to Chicago next week. It actually didn't recognize that, so I would definitely need to do some tweaking there. And so this is how you can use the language model testing mode just in your terminal, which makes it easy to just play around with it. And what's even better is if you want to use the Jovo debugger for that. So let me show you how it works there. So I already opened it, so you can open it again. If you don't know how the Jovo debugger works, if you type in Jovo run, it will show your webhook URL here. So if you copy that, it opens the debugger. But to go to the language model testing mode, which is still in beta, you need to append model and /test. And this is how the language model testing mode looks like on the debugger. We have a language model to the left. We have some test phrases that can be configured. I will tell you about this in a minute. And then we have a chat and a request and response JSON. And so when I was talking to the device, you can see that I have the search intent here. I have what it recognized. I have the date. I have the city and the from city, and so on. And if I want to dig deeper, I can then go into the request JSON here, for example, and take a look there. And as you can see here, it is what the incoming request looks like. And so, but there's one more thing. So usually when you just like test freestyle, it's easy to miss some phrases. And this is why we created a test phrases, basically some scripts that you can go through and let even other people read to see if the language model works. Okay, so let's configure some test phrases. So I have the language model here, and I can just quickly select stuff. So I could do something like, I want to go to Miami, and then generate a phrase and add that to the test script. And so people could read from the test script, and then I would have a check mark if it works, and if it doesn't, I wouldn't have one. So for example, let's try that out. Start the test. Open language model test.
Start.
I want to go to Miami.
Search intent.
Stop. And so, for example, if something else is recognized, so let's just restart that and do it again. Open language model test.
Start.
I want to go to New Jersey.
Search intent.
Stop. So this displays what it tried to understand, or what was supposed to be understood, and what was actually understood. And so this is where you can see, after going through a script, what was understood really well and what wasn't. And so let me get rid of that and show you another feature. So there's also this magic wand here. So for example, if I click this magic wand, usually the Jovo language model or the debugger would go into the language model and then randomly select different slot values and generate phrases for that. With built-in slots and built-in system entities from Dialogflow, this doesn't work, and this is why you can define which cities you want to test. So for example, we can add New York, Miami, and Seattle, and on the other side we could have something like Atlanta and Chicago. And so we can generate those phrases. So for example, we can have 5 phrases and then start the test again. Okay, so let me try it out on Alexa. Open language model test.
Start.
I want to go to New York from Atlanta.
Search intent.
I want to go to Miami from Chicago.
Search intent.
I want to go to Seattle from Chicago.
Search intent.
I want to go to New Jersey from Chicago.
Search intent.
I want to go to Miami from Atlanta.
Search intent.
Stop. So as you can see here, all were pretty well understood, except the one where I said New Jersey instead of New York. And so this is how you can quickly test different phrases with the Jovo language model testing mode. And we are going to introduce some more features like an export and an import mode where you can export and import scripts to make that even easier, and a sharing mode where you can actually like share it with other people so they can test at home, so that you can see if for different kinds of people, for different kinds of accents, if your language model still works. Cool, thanks a lot. I hope you enjoyed that, and let us know if you have any questions with the Jovo debugger, with the Jovo framework and the language model testing mode in the CLI. We're very excited about this. Let us know if you have anything else. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.